Welcome to the Medium Ghetto Podcast with your host Jamar. Today we got special guests in the building. Introduce yourself.
Hello, this is Coach Tots from Keep Manifesting LLC, where we believe that you can eliminate limiting beliefs and live a life of abundance if you only believe.
I like the live. I love that. Like that was so smooth. So we are going to talk about the karmic cycle, and we're also going to be talking about shadow work. And my first question is like, how did you get into that? Like that's something like you don't just wake up and be like, I'm gonna do some shadow work.
Right. So for me, it started in 2021, January 29th of 2021 to be exact. I was in the middle of a nervous breakdown, and I think it took me snapping on my doctor to realize, oh, hold on, something is really wrong here. So through that, I was off work for 2 months where I had enough time to really just dig into myself, figure out what was going on. I started getting rid of friendships, getting rid of relationships. But then I had to keep digging. And then I came across Mooji, Mooji, which introduced me to my higher self. And then from there, I started learning about chakras. I started learning about crystals.
What's
And then
Muji though? What is Muji?
Mooji is actually, how would I say this? He is the instructor, like your guide. He's actually on YouTube, and he actually just speaks about your higher self and how your mindset determines how far you can go in life. Like if you're saying I can't do it, then you never will. If you continue to hang around people that don't have anything and you're trying to go after something, they constantly tell you, oh, you're crazy, stop trying to do that, then you'll never have it. You actually have to change your mindset, and on many occasions you have to change your surroundings as well, so you can elevate to become that higher person you were actually sent to the earth to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's Muji. But as I started digging in, I realized I had to do shadow work, and I kept saying, shadow work, what is shadow work? So that's what started me to really research in shadow work, and it helps you understand and identify why you do a lot of things that you do. And it all kind of goes back to childhood. So when we look in our childhood, we kind of come out in the world and we're like, let's do whatever we want to do. And not care about what someone says. Like we'll dress funny and make up funny terms and tell people how we really feel. But somewhere in the teenage years, between the teenage years and the early 20s, I think we end up having trauma. And then that's what kind of makes us start being someone that we're actually not. So we start to try to react how we want other people to accept us, opposed to how we really want to feel. So sometimes we start dressing ways that we're not real comfortable with the way the clothing is, but it fits the norm. So we don't want to be abnormal or extraordinary, so to speak. So from doing the shadow work, you start learning, this is why I do this is why I do that. And it all kind of stems into the childhood years, your angry teenage years. And then usually in your 30s or 40s, you'll actually start to come to a realization that this isn't really who you are. And that's when you'll start looking and doing that shadow work that a lot of people don't realize they're doing. They don't do, and you become a better person.
Yeah, I think like shadow work, the term, many people don't know about it, but they do it while even realizing it. You start to, that self-discovery journey you're talking about, because all the trauma and, disappointments in life, and then people trying to make you what they want you to be, trying to make you fulfill a role in their life, even though you need to fulfill the role that you want in your life. You know what I mean? Trying to box you out and pigeonhole you.
Exactly.
I can actually say, yo, I've been going through like a self-discovery, and like, I guess like just figuring out me and what I want in this life, I'm going through that phase where you make a good amount of money and then you're like, yo, money did not help.
Exactly.
And now I'm like, I end up like staying away from doing like a lot of business, and I end up podcasting and going on a self-discovery journey for like 4 or 5 months and not doing business. Like, everybody's like, you good? And I'm like, no, I just need some time to figure it out.
And that's really what, when you kind of think about it, if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times when we don't have what we want, we figure, oh, if I get the money, I'll have everything I need and I'll be fine. But as you look at those hierarchy of needs, to me, it really kind of flows into like the chakra and the things that we need in life. Money is not the answer to everything, but everything just about can be solved with money. So not having money, it makes you think, oh, if I get the money, I'll have the happiness. Then when you get the money, you don't have the happiness. You realize, okay, money didn't make me happy. I can go do some things to be happy, but still within there's something missing. You just feel internally that there's something missing. And as you keep searching to try to find what that is, you come to this peace or you end up in a karmic cycle. And if you don't do the shadow work, then you don't understand you're stuck in a karmic cycle. So that's basically you keep ending up in these really garbage relationships. And you figure, why does this keep happening? This is a totally different person, but the scenario is the same as my last 10 relationships. And it's usually there's a lesson that was to be learned that you missed. And until you realize the lesson and go in an opposite direction, you keep repeating the cycle. So that's the karmic cycle. So when you have people that for generations they've been stuck in poverty, that's because someone didn't take the lesson to realize that, hey, maybe I need to move out of this neighborhood or away from this city to get a new chance. Or hey, I'm kind of priced out as far as what I can make. And if I can't make more than 30,000, I can't really take care of my family. But they're not willing to leave that particular area or job. So they just keep going through the same thing over and over and over again. So that's kind of what that karmic cycle comes in at, which deals with the law of karma.
And we start getting, do you ever like notice how people start getting like bunkered down in the karmic cycle? They start saying things like all men, all women are the same. I can't make money. And you know what I mean? Like they just keep
Yes.
themselves in the cycle. Is that what you're talking about too?
Yes. And especially when you have people that say all men are the same or all women are the same. All men and all women are not the same. It's the same man or woman that you keep attracting that's the same, because you're not realizing the energy of this person, because energy doesn't lie. Okay. It's completely 100% true. If you keep feeling negative vibes from a person, but you overlook the negative vibes and look at everything else, and let's take a relationship for example. A woman is dating a man or a man is dating a woman, and they're giving them everything that they need, but they don't give them the emotional fulfillment that they really, really want. And they say, you know what, I'm going to take all of this materialistic stuff and I'll look for the emotional and spiritual fulfillment or whatever somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, you know what, they might be able to do all of this, but this is not fulfilling me. So I'm going to leave this and go find better. And generally, once you break that karmic cycle, the better will give you everything that you had, plus your spiritual and emotional needs that you actually desire. But if you're just stuck up on the materialistic piece, you're always going to miss that. So that's how you end up in this karmic cycle, because you just keep saying, okay, I just want somebody that's going to do everything for me materialistically, or someone that I can manipulate mentally. That's the person I'm going to be with, but you're unhappy. So it's not sensible.
It's definitely not. So, all right, I got a question. With energy, like I'm a little skeptical about the energy thing. Maybe because I always try to think logical about things. I'm starting to realize that thinking logical ain't the best way to traverse life some days. But
Right.
I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Logic doesn't always win. But like, can you describe energy? Like, how do you pick out energy?
So this is the part when I start telling people, okay, maybe I'm a little crazy, because this whole energy thing didn't happen until after the nervous breakdown. But it's kind of like when you go in a club and it kind of feels off, and you be like, you know what, I think I believe that something just doesn't feel right. So that energy, you'll feel that pull of positive energy and negative energy. So say, for example, you just got a promotion at work and you go to tell your best friend, but you can tell your best friend is really not happy for you, but they're smiling. Like everything says they're happy, but internally you're feeling something's off. So that's the energy, that which is really like the sixth sense that we've always spoke about in the church and everything. It's like that sixth sense kicks in to let you know, hey, something isn't right here. I don't really know what it is, but based on how the energy is feeling, I know it's time for me to exit. So it's kind of weird and it's different for everybody. But for me, if it's not a positive vibe, I don't want to deal with it. So I really go on positive vibes only. That's kind of one of my hashtags.
Positive vibes only.
Yes, positive vibes only.
So what do you do? Let's say one of your best friends is going through a hard time, right? I This happened to me before, and they're like, "I'm sorry to, be a bearer of bad news." So he's like, he's going, he works in entertainment, right? And he comes to
Okay.
me about how, like, with some negative feelings. He asks, like, "Yo, can you talk to me about it?" And he was like, "Yo, I'm sorry to feel all these bad vibes on you." I'm like, "Yo, you don't gotta worry about that. It's okay." Like, how do you
Mhm.
deal with, like, not isolating people and also protecting your energy?
Well, that's more so if you're kind of helping somebody, whether it's a mental journey, spiritual journey. Helping people is fine, but
Mhm,
I'm speaking from the aspect that you have miserable people that just want to be miserable and they want you to be miserable with them. Those people I will not entertain. But if there's someone that I know that you're always trying to be your best and highest self, and you're going through something and you're coming to me because you just need somebody to help you to maneuver and get through it and see things differently, then that's where I can come in and look at things and kind of help you see something that maybe you didn't see.
mhm,
And it's kind of like this. Oh, okay. I never looked at it that way before. Like I have a lot of friends that they might be married, and I always tell them I'm the person to come talk to if you're done. Like if you're trying to make it work, I'm probably not the best person because I'm no holds barred. So I'm going to tell you everything that I see, and it might be some stuff that you didn't see, and that might actually end the marriage. So if you come to me, you have to be willing to really be an open book and be understanding that I'm very transparent. I'm not going to sugarcoat and try to give you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell
mhm.
you what you want to know. But I've had friends that were just negative, like they complained about everything. So those were people that I knew I had to cut off because they weren't bringing anything positive into my life at all.
I bet you were feeling some great energy at the conference.
Oh, the energy at the conference was
Yeah.
amazing. It was amazing. I was really like there was never anything like because I've been to a lot of conferences and a
Mhm,
lot, and I used to work in the hair world. So even going to hair shows and sitting in the classes and learning, and then I'm a certified payroll professional, going to those and interacting, and then I started doing the marketing conferences. That's the first conference I've been to where the energy was just so positive. Everybody wanted to network. Everybody wanted to help. I didn't hear anybody complain about anything that whole conference. So I thought that was pretty dope.
it was great. It was really dope, and I think, like, being in those situations, you start to find more positive people too. Like,
Right.
I know sometimes when you're in the isolation phase, you get a little lonely, you start thinking like, "Damn, I don't mess with them, I don't mess with them," and just going to environments like that just gives you more hope.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. I think they kind of charge even I don't have my bracelet on right now, but I have bought one of Donnie's bracelets that says
Mhm.
actionable CEO. I feel like they had the prayer warriors praying over those bracelets. Every time I put it on, it's like you have work to do. Get to work, get to work, get to work. And I've just been knocking stuff out. But I notice when I don't wear it, I kind of venture off to other stuff. So, so it was pretty dope.
So do you think, like, certain items or in your home or you have can take energy?
Yes, I
Like,
do.
absorb?
And I'm one of those people, like, if I wear an outfit, and say, for instance, I could have had a good day, but for whatever reason, I just don't feel the energy of the outfit anymore. I donate a lot of stuff, but if I feel the energy is off in the clothes, I throw it
Mhm.
away. I don't even keep it because clothes hold energy. Like everything holds energy. So sometimes I'll have an energy in something and I'm like, okay, I want to give it to this person. That means because it's good energy and I'm sharing that good energy with that person. I have crystals in my house. I generally try to keep flowers. And if my flowers or plants start dying, I'm like, hold on, what's going on with the energy in my house? And I'll actually do like a spiritual cleansing with the smudging and incense and all of that kind of stuff. Rearrange the furniture. So absolutely everything is energy. Like everything in this world has some type of energy to it.
Alright, and, so I think they said, what is it? Can energy be created, or can you create more
Mm,
energy?
that was up for debate because you have some people say that energy can only be manipulated.
Mhm.
It can't be created. but the energy is there. It had to be created at some point. So that's up for debate. And I don't have a yes or a no on that one because I believe energy can be created. But then it can also be manipulated. Like if I go into a room and I feel nothing but negative energy, sometimes I'll go in there and actually transmute the negative energy, which is just trying to change the environment. You ever walk in a room and it's just like, what is going on with this Debbie Downer situation right here? And you try to bring some laughter or joy to the room to kind of change the atmosphere. You ever experienced that?
I do it. I try to be the comic relief a lot in a lot of serious situations. I'll be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, what's up?" And everybody's just like, or they'd be like, "We don't want to joke here." I'm like, "All right, I guess I'll save my jokes for after work."
Yeah. Yeah. So you just kind of try to change the energy. Even at my job, there was at one point a manager and she was a micromanager. You know, micromanagers is like, look, I just want to come to work and enjoy my day. I don't want you standing over my shoulder. So I used to try to mellow out the scenario, and a lot of people kept coming to me. Well, I am having a hard time with this, and I was taking on a lot of that, and then trying to give them the words to go and have the conversation. But then I was holding everything in instead of snapping, so to speak, and that's what
Hmm.
caused the nervous breakdown because I kind of snapped on the inside. But I'm kind of glad it happened because had it not occurred, I don't think I would have been enlightened by the world of manifestation, the law of abundance, the law of what is it called? The law of attraction. Like
Attraction.
none of that, none of this stuff that I study now. When I say I study, I inhale it day and night. I was not doing any of that before then. I really wasn't.
So let's talk about the law of what was it? Attraction. I
Hmm.
think at a young age, most of us seen the book. You remember it was like a whole DVD set or something like that. They had the law of attraction,
I
and then it
didn't.
became yeah. So when I was like 15, I guess it was like damn 2000, about 2005, 2004 ish. They had a bunch of DVDs on it, and it was called The Secret. You heard of, like The Secret?
Yes, I actually read The Secret last year, which is when I found out about The Secret. And I also watched the movie. And then someone just sent me another movie. Oh gosh, I can't think. Let me see if I can get the name of this movie. But one of the guys that was in The Secret, he was actually in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it really went through teaching you about you have to show appreciation in everything because if you don't show just gratitude and appreciation, you can end up losing things.
Oh
And I
wow.
think that was the main point because this guy he was so into his job and he didn't want to have kids. He was being so mean to the wife, and all of this stuff was going on. And then before you know it, the job that he was being so mean to the wife about because he was like a producer or whatever for a movie, they took the movie from him. Like everything that he put above his family, and he treated her so bad when she was pregnant. But come to find out, once they sat down and talked, and he really started being open into the therapy that was going on, he started understanding the law of attraction. He started understanding I need to be grateful for things. I need to show appreciation. And then all of these things started coming back. So it's like, even, the Bible says, be grateful even for small things. Don't despise small beginnings. I cannot find the name of this movie, but that's one of the things that you have to really understand when it comes to law of attraction. You have to, whatever you put out, that's what's going to come back. So if you're putting out negative energy, that negative energy is going to come back. If you're constantly saying, I'm never going to get a better job, you're never going to get a better job. But if you're constantly saying, I know that there's a job out there for me and I'm going to find it and it's going to provide all of my needs, then it's going to come. And if you just focus on what you want and move on about your day instead of focusing on what you don't have, then you'll start to see those things come.
Okay, and you start to see him come in like is that like more so like manifestation?
Yes, you'll see your So I call it, when you're shooting it off, I call it a rocket of desire, right? You're saying, this is what I want you. This is what you're praying to God for. This is what you're believing the universe for, or whoever you pray to, right? I believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So I will say universe, but the universe to me is still God. He created the universe, so the universe doesn't exist without him. And just as I look back over my life, I'm just like, I've been manifesting my entire life, but I didn't know that's what I was doing. And then as I kept studying and learning, I'm like, oh, this is something that I've always pretty much done. And then the shadow work piece, that piece was so new to me because I didn't realize, oh, you grew up in poverty. That's why you do some of the things that you do now. Oh, you were kind of abused as a child. That's why you do some of the things you do now. Oh, you weren't allowed to speak as a child. That's why you do some of the things you do now. So as I started identifying those things, I knew, okay, I can rewire my brain to be different. And that's kind of what I started doing.
Okay, so let's say, would you like to share some of the changes you've seen, some of the realizations from like when you were a teenager that you've changed now?
Yes. Just number one from this video, I have not cussed one time, but I used to cuss like a sailor, believe it or not. Like every other word was a cuss word. And I didn't know why I did that. But growing up, my mother used to cuss like that. But then as she got in the church, she stopped cussing. And then I realized it's probably not the best thing to do. So I started training my mind not to use profanity as much because I still cuss a little bit. That's just, it's not completely gone. But I was able to like train my mind. Okay, from my last set of shadow work that I did in this past 6 months, I realized, oh, that's why my relationship with money is this way. So my mom I grew up with my mom saying, hey, you don't save money, you spend it all because you can't take it with you, right? So I just kind of had this spend everything mentality, not really save anything. And then this guy that I was dating in my 20s, he pretty much took care of everything. And my savings ended up being my 401k. But then as I got older, I kept saying, why am I going through money like this? Because I went through a lot of money in my lifetime. So then through reading this book called Cheat Code by TWK, I was introduced to Reverend Ike and started listening to him. And that's where my mindset shift took place, where I had to realize, okay, I've been spending money, but I need to now start circulating money, which means I'm spending my money with more purpose. And if there's no purpose attached to me spending the money, then the money stays in the bank or the money stays on the credit card. So that's some of the changes. And I'm completely positive. I try not to have negative reactions to people because I used to just snap at people all the time. So I always try to see the God in them and hope that they see the God in me and just be positive. So that for me is like a complete change from who I was.
So you went from cussing like a seller to being judgmental and be like, with people, to being a little bit more patient. Do you feel like the weight is off you more when you're more patient?
It definitely is, because I used to have a saying that said, God is graceful, I'm not. But I have learned to be more graceful. I can't be as gracious or graceful as God because I'm not God. Because some stuff is going to happen. It's like, God, and I'm just going to have to deal with it at the cross. But a lot of things, I kind of have that grace where I can say, you know what, if that was me, how would I want somebody to react or to interact with me? And that's how I kind of take a step back. And then I try to look at that person in a different lens, more of a spiritual lens. And try to identify, is there something that I'm supposed to give them in this moment? Maybe it's a word of encouragement or whatever it may be. If I feel that's needed, then that's what I give. If I feel they just needed their moment and it's going to be a waste of my energy to try to do anything different, then I just keep it moving. So my block list on my cell phone is very heavy because if I can't help you, there's no need for us to interact. So even if you're family, I'm just going to block them.
You don't think that's like too cruel, or?
Well, it depends on the circumstance. And I'll use a scenario. My cousin called me, and she's going off on a Benji and I'm like, for what? She wanted me to change a profile picture on my Facebook that's been there for 5 years, and this is out of the blue. And I'm like, why are you so bitter? And she felt like I was cussing at her, but I wasn't. But she just kept going on and on and on. And I'm like, you know what? This is wasting my energy because she wants to argue. And I was kind of like, fine. I was like, I'm not gonna argue with you. So I was like, block. So, and at one point I had a lot of people blocked, but some of them they come back around. You have a conversation, they get unblocked. But a lot of people, you know, if you're blocked and you're going to constantly be negative, I'm not unblocking you because why do I want that negative energy in my life?
That's what you're saying. It's draining. It takes away from your focuses and
Yep.
building positivity. And
Yeah.
I can see that.
You have control of that. You have control over your energy, who has access to you. And as you elevate in life, you'll start to realize certain people cannot have access to you as easily as they did in the past. And that just changes because as you change, the people around you are going to change. And everybody is not happy for you. Some they might say it, but you can really tell if someone's happy for you or not when you get tapped into understanding energy.
I think when people are happy for you, they'll share your happiness too. That's like one big indicator. I'm like, yo,
Exactly.
I'm gonna share this, or like if someone's you will be talked about without even in a positive way without even knowing.
Exactly. Like if you go to tell somebody something positive and then they don't say congratulations or anything, they come behind it with this real negative, sad story. It's like, what did that have to do with anything that I just said? So that's questionable. Like if they're really happy, because they kind of divert the conversation to something else that's not even positive. So those people, I tend to kind of put them in a block that okay, I'm gonna have to just kind of see where it goes. And sometimes they were just having their moment. And I actually had a friend that told me one time. She said, "Well, you are always expanding and doing different things. Where's my blessing? Where's my this? Where's my that?" So she was letting me know, which I love her for, that she was frustrated that she kept seeing me elevate in life, but she felt like she was stuck in the same place. But she still was not accepting the fact that, okay, you're stuck in a karmic cycle. And until you change this, you're not going to see that change. So she's still kind of going through the motions of understanding I have to change. Like if you want to change, you literally have to change and then you'll start to see change.
So, do you ever like help them sort out or help them find a lesson of what they're stuck at in the cycle, or they just have to do it
Yes.
themselves?
If they want it and they're truly open to it, then yes, I do. One scenario I had to point out, and this was a guy I had to point out to him. Well, if you take a look at all of your relationships, you keep dating the same person, but in a different body. And then it goes the same way. It's the same exact arguments, every relationship. It's the same scenarios, every relationship. So you need to identify what is attracting me to this type of person and why. And once you can identify that, then you'll know the signs to look for in future relationships. Like for me, for example, I don't know when a certain guy comes, if there's certain things that I can connect to, I'm like, yeah, it looks real good, but I already know how it ends, so I'm going to pass on it. But if you never identify those things, you keep blindly going into it, thinking, oh, this is the one, because you're saying, oh, this is like that person, this is like that person, this is that like that person, but you're wanting a different outcome. And then when the outcome's the same, you're saying, well, what happened? You missed all the red flags that were there in the beginning.
So, like being stuck in a karmic cycle, relationship wise, would be me picking the same person, different body. But like, I'm trying to think of this question.
So, for example, same person, different body. If you dated someone and you felt like all they ever do is go and get their hair done, their nails done, they don't want to work, they always want me to pay for everything, I don't want to date anybody like that. But you keep meeting people that fit that same criteria, but your expectation is, oh no, this person is not going to want me to do everything. They're going to be more concerned about me. It's going to feel more like a partnership. And then when it ends up that they're doing the same thing, 9 times out of 10, you probably met them in the same place that you met everybody else, under the same circumstances that you met everybody else, and everything moved the same way it did with everybody else. And by the time you realize this is not what I want, you realize there were 10 red flags back there that I said, I'm ignore this red flag because it can't be the same. And it was the same.
So you think people are ignoring the lesson? That's
They're
why they're
ignoring
not.
the lesson, and that's why they get caught up in the karmic cycle. Because until you learn the lesson, you never progress to the next level. Like they say, new levels, different devils. Every time you progress to a new level, you're going to have a lesson. And if you pass the lesson, then you go to the next level. If you miss the lesson, guess what? You got to repeat the test. You just keep going through it over and over and over and over again. That's why you have some people for generations, no one has ever left out of the projects. Why? Nobody wanted to go get the job. They said, look, I like having rent that's $13 a month, and I'm okay with working for minimum wage. And I don't want to go to school and learn a trade, or I don't want to do whatever it may be that's going to bring me more money because I'm comfortable where I'm at right here. And that's where they sit generation after generation after generation.
So you think we can inherit our parents' karma?
Absolutely. Because if you think about it, your parents are the ones that you're watching, right? Your
Hmm.
parents are the ones that you're watching. Your parents are saying what you can do, what you can't do, where you can't go, where you can't go. And if you believe that, that's what you get stuck with. For example, my mom wanted me to go into the nursing industry, and I was like, okay. And then I realized this is not for me. So something happened when I was in school, and I was like, yeah, this is not for me. I'll just challenge the board. I'm leaving. I'm more business. And throughout life, I had to keep realizing, yeah, my mom might want me to do these things, but I want something better and different in life. So
Hmm.
I kept going in a different direction. So I felt like I actually ended a lot of generational curses. Like with my mom and her kids, yeah, we might have graduated high school, but nobody went to college. So I not only went to college, I also went to trade school. And I just kept hustling and hustling and hustling until I was like in a different level of life. And then I never realized, well, why do I like wearing all this designer stuff? As a kid, I can never get designer stuff. And it goes back to a story about me wanting a pair of Reeboks. Like when the Reeboks came out in the 80s, I was like, oh, damn, let me get these Reeboks. My dad did not buy me the Reeboks. But then being an adult, as I look back on the situation, I'm like, wait a minute. I think dad gave mom the money to go buy the Reeboks, but she didn't buy me the Reeboks. She had me get these Cobra shoes, which was really cute, unique, different, but they weren't the Reebok shoes. Because
Mm.
my mom was always about pinching pennies, trying to keep money, taking care of the 6 kids. And I was kind of like, I want what I want. So looking back on that, now I start to realize, oh, this is why I spend all this money on designer clothes and stuff, because that's something that wasn't attainable to me as a child. So I felt like as an adult, that's what I was supposed to have. But then as I started looking at things and changing my mindset with money and different things like that, I don't live a life where I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul, which is basically how I grew up. I grew up in days where we didn't have lights, we didn't have water, we didn't have food, but my kids never experienced any of that at all whatsoever. So it was like I was able to break a karmic cycle and a generational curse by making changes to my life. And then that affected how my kids live their life. So it's hopefully something that'll just continue to go forward.
I see. So you broke the karma psychic cycle, so they wouldn't have to break the karmic
Right.
cycle.
Right. Even with
I
dealing with abusive relationships. I had to leave my ex-husband, didn't want to, but I had to make the choice. Do I continue to live in this environment and this is what my kids grow up in and think is normal, or do I leave? And when I left, they realized, okay, maybe that's not normal. Because I didn't want my sons, because I have like all boys and one daughter. I don't want them to grow up thinking abuse is what's normal. So I
Mhm.
had to make the decision, do I stay or do I go? And I decided I love me more. And it's okay to love you more in any situation and to put your feelings in front of other people's in any situation, because your job is to make you happy, not to harm other people, but to make you happy. And other people want you to be sad to make them happy. And that's selfish of them. So it's okay to be selfish about you.
That's true. That is
Yep.
true. So do you think, let's say with the husband situation, the lesson from you being stern in your decision and leaving, that was a lesson that he needed to better his life?
Mhm.
Have you ever thought about
Absolutely.
that?
Because the person that he's with now is not the person he cheated on me with. He met after I had filed for divorce, and they're still together. And he'll constantly say, I am not going to mess this relationship up the way I messed up the relationship with you. So the things that I would complain about, he made sure not to do those in that relationship. And I'm like, I'm happy for him. So sometimes you have to go through certain steps just to learn the lesson. And sometimes it's to better the other person, but it's always to better you as well. In my opinion, that's what I think.
I think that's one big thing like people don't realize what if we don't hold each other a lot of times with like family, with like relationships like like platonic, family wise, we just let them go and we don't explain to them. We don't not saying punish them, but we don't hold them accountable, and we don't hold them accountable. They never. Some people just don't learn the lesson is dumb, and you just never help them. Sometimes you
Exactly.
gotta help them by making the statement like, "Oh, I did not appreciate this, and this is." The results of me not appreciating
Right.
that.
Because if you don't tell a person, how will they know? Like there's a saying, closed mouths don't get fed. Well, if you never tell a person, how will they even know? Like if you're in a
Mm.
relationship with someone and you don't like the fact that, hey, you never take me on dates, but you never say anything, you smile and act like everything's cool. They don't know you want to go out on a date. They think, oh, this is normal. I don't really want to go on a date. I'm okay with staying in the house. They're okay staying in the house, so we just want to stay in the house. But if you
I was
open up
raised
your
that way.
right, if you open up your mouth and say, hey, I need date night every week, then you've already set that expectation. If that person
Mhm.
can't meet the expectation, then you sever the ties with the person and move forward. But if you accept it and then the relationship doesn't work and then somebody else comes along and they fit that same scenario, you still don't say anything, you're in a karmic cycle. You're in the same situation with a different person, not getting what you want.
Let me take a sip real quick.
Okay.
All right, so I had a situation where I took someone on a date, and this is my first date. But get this, they're first of all, they're a mother of a they have a son, and the son is 7 years old. So you're saying 7 years of this you've never been taken on a date,
Wow. That's
which
awesome.
is wild.
Now,
And in my
were you
head,
dating?
I don't know. Like I don't know what the heck that was. I guess she just had boyfriends.
Well,
But how
you
do you have boyfriends all dating?
with no dates, right? And I can see if you're just being single and no dates, but if you're doing whatever, okay, situationship, entanglement, whatever, and there's no dates and you wanted to go on a date and you never said anything or you said anything and it did not happen and you stayed, you have to own that one. That's on you.
Yeah, I was just like, damn. But I was just, and that's when I realized I was going through a karmic cycle with like girls who don't value themselves. I'm like, nah, I gotta date someone who more so value themselves.
Right. And it's the
Um,
same thing with guys. Like there are guys out there, and I'm realizing as I'm starting, because now I'm real comfortable with talking to people. Generally, I didn't like talking to people. I had to kind of, because I'm a Virgo, I'm an introvert. It's like I had to get to know you to open up. And now I'm open to just going up and having conversations with people. And I'm realizing that there are a lot of guys out there that don't really speak up because they have been raised with this mindset of this is what a man is and this is what you do. You don't complain. And that's not true. Men have emotions just like women have emotions. Men have needs just like women have needs. And it shouldn't be that I can express what I want and what I need, but you're supposed to just oblige to that and don't tell me anything that you want and you need. Because there has to be a compromise. So everybody has to have value in themselves. And then when you have value in yourself and you come together with someone else, then you have a valuable relationship and you can grow and create stuff. And that's when it gets really fun. But if you're kind of stuck and you don't value yourself, because I think I dated a guy that he didn't really value himself that much. And I was like, yeah, this isn't going to go anywhere. It's just not going to go far. So yeah, I agree with that. You have to find someone that has value in them the way you have value in you, and then that's something to build upon.
yeah, because you always gotta blow them up, and I'm like, all right, this, and eventually they're gonna deflate. They just gotta blow them up again, deflate.
Right.
It's a
Yep.
it's a cycle in itself.
Yeah, it's too much. And I think I'm kind of glad you said that, Jamar, because people don't realize you own your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be sad and feel like, oh, as soon as I get a man, I'm gonna be happy. No, you still gonna be miserable. And you're gonna make the man miserable because you're supposed to be happy before the man comes or the woman comes, and then you guys can find happiness together. You'll be happier, But if you're waiting for somebody to come and make you happy, you need to do shadow work to identify, why am I sad? What is missing? What is it about me that I don't love my own company? What is it about me that I don't make myself laugh? Like I always tell people, I talk to me because it's a friend in me, baby. It's a friend in me. I talk to me all the time. I enjoy my company. I enjoy other people's company. But you have to find you first. And that's when you're doing your shadow work to find your higher self. Because your higher self is who you were meant to be when you came here. And then some type of trauma occurred and you started being what other people wanted you to be. Even though you were unhappy, you felt like, oh, I need to make everybody else happy. But no, you have to make you happy first. And then those people that are going to make you happier, they'll start to attract to you. They'll start to come into your circle. And the ones that don't belong, that are not making you happy, they'll start to go away. But it's all going to start with you, like really digging into you, understanding you, your likes, your dislikes, your wants, your needs. And then you'll attract what you need in your life.
Drop the mic. Drop the mic. Bars, right? That's so true. Like you really, like you having boundaries will get the right people in your life.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
what I'm starting to realize. Like you just saying no. No is so powerful. Like people think focus is you saying yes to a few things,
Mhm.
but it's also saying no to a bunch of things.
Absolutely. I always say no is an answer all by itself. It needs no explanation. It needs no definition. I don't care what you ask me. If I said no, I should not have to explain why I said no because it's just no. Like you might want me to do it to make you happy, but I know it's not going to make me happy. So no. And that's
Exactly.
hard for a lot of people.
So shadow work, so you're doing it on a daily basis, right? So what are some of the things you're doing for shadow work on a daily basis?
And I wouldn't say it's a daily basis. It's when those things come up. Like when I have an unknown trigger, because we all have triggers, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I have an unknown trigger, that's kind of a sign to me, oh, I might need to go figure out why does this make me mad? And I'm trying to think of this is perfect. Questions. Okay. I had a trigger after someone asked me 3 questions. And this was me growing up through my teen years, 20s, 30s. Like I would be like, easy, stop, no more questions. And it all stemmed from when I was younger, my mom and dad had broke up. So when my dad would come and get me to go to his house for whether it was the summer or the weekend, when I came back home, my mom would ask me 1,001 questions. She wanted to know, how did the house look? Was it clean? Can she cook? How did she just it was so disturbing to me. But the reason why I didn't like the questions was because of that. Or when I would go to different family members' house and then they would ask me questions. And sometimes I didn't know I wasn't supposed to answer the questions. So when I would go home, of course, my mom's asking me questions. Then she finds out I've answered questions that I shouldn't have answered. So guess who got in trouble? I did. So my mindset was, look, just don't ask me any questions. That way I don't have to worry about saying anything I wasn't supposed to say. I don't have to worry about anybody being upset. Just don't ask me any questions. But in the podcasting world, I have to get comfortable with asking questions. I have to get comfortable with people asking me questions. So what's good in these past, let's say 24 months or whatever, I have gotten accustomed to people asking me questions. Even at work, I think when they used to come to my desk, I used to be like, oh, another question, because I was like this to me in a lot of areas. So that kind of started the area where I had to kind of get the groundwork to be like, you need to smile more, you need to do this more, you need to do that more. But yeah, when you find that trigger, if something triggers you, you need to identify, why does that trigger me the way that it does? And that's when you're digging into your shadow work to identify it. And then you find out what you need to do to not have that trigger, or when that trigger occurs, what's the best way to deal with it. Because some of our triggers we're always going to have. We just need to find a more positive way to deal with them.
I see. Yeah, like triggers. I think. All right. So this is a question I've been asking recently, right? So do you think it's a bad thing to be insecure or have a partner who is insecure? Is insecurity really
It's,
that bad?
it is. But is it bad to have an insecurity? No.
Mm-hmm.
Is it bad to having a partner with an insecurity? No. Is it bad to have an insecurity and not have it, or have a partner with the insecurity and not know it? Yes. Because if you know your insecurity, then you can dig into it and find acceptance. For example, I've always had a flat stomach. My first child, I had some little fire stretch marks, still had a flat stomach, came home, put my clothes on. It was good. Second child, I blew up like a blimp. I was a 5'6" when I got pregnant, a 13, 14 when I had it. I refused to go and buy clothes. So I borrowed clothes from my sister, but my stomach was still big, and I had a real insecurity about my stomach. And my spouse at the time knew that, and he used to say, "Nothing's wrong with your stomach. Your stomach is perfectly fine." When I look back at those pictures, my stomach was in my mind 5 times bigger than what I thought it was. But because I knew that was my insecurity and he knew it was my insecurity, we were able to still kind of work through it. To this day, it is still my insecurity, but it's flatter now. But it's still big. But I put on the half top and say, "Hey, you're gonna get this on my body. It is what it is." Because I have to be comfortable in my body, opposed to me constantly covering it. So the insecurity is still there, but I'm more acceptant of the insecurity. So it's like, I know it's there. Anybody that I date will know it's there. So we'll know, hey, this is the insecurity, no big issue, but this is my insecurity. Growing up, my insecurity was, oh, I had big lips, I had a big nose, I had big eyes. But I still felt like I was cute, but those were insecurities. I used to feel like I had a big forehead too. I don't
You
know.
were just like everything big, rims real big,
Right,
car real
right.
big,
But it's
everything
like
real
you
big.
kind of, yeah, you kind of grow in it and you accept it and you learn how to live with it, and you, like Lizzo, like, okay, I'm a big girl and what? I'ma still make it do what it do. So it's just kind of that type of thing with your insecurity. So I
Listen,
don't think it's good to not know it, but to know it, yes.
I was like 5'5" in high school first year with big feet,
Mm.
and I was wide too. So I was like really heavy with big feet and short. I don't know.
Mm.
Looking like a clown, but like a wall clown.
That's how you felt, and you probably didn't look that way, but your mindset, mentally, that's how you felt. But then something happened where you got confident in that.
Yeah,
So it's all about a mindset of how you see yourself, and how you see yourself is how other people want to see you. Like if you see yourself as this clumsy person, that's how everybody's going to see you. But if you see yourself as this, like in my mind, I'm a celebrity. Clearly not a celebrity, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm a celebrity, and I'm gonna kind of move and operate in that
like a
realm as
celebrity.
if I am a celebrity, even though I'm not. And sometimes when I show up to people's brunches, they'll be like, "Well, what does she do? Who is she?" And I'll just tell them, "Oh, I'm a socialite." I don't tell them what I do. I just tell them I'm a socialite. And that kind of fits into my mind of my delusional. It's okay to be delusional, especially when you're trying to manifest. Because if you're trying to manifest a Bentley and you like, I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen, you have to be delusional to believe that it's going to happen. So that's my thing on delusion. A lot of people don't realize sometimes it's okay to be delusional. It's
It is
okay.
totally okay.
It's
I need to
totally
get my celebrity vibe on too. I'll be dressing too modest.
yeah. Just and it took time. It was like over time. And then I kind of had to say, who do you want to be? Like your highest self. Who do you see your higher self as? And then had to start actually walking and talking like that person, going to the places where that person would be at, doing the things that that person would do. I'm still working on trying to wake up early in the morning to go work out every day. Like that, it's still a work in progress, but I can at least say now I work out at least 3 times a week. And at one point in my life, I worked out 0 days a week. So progress is progress.
So you pretty much what you're saying is you identify what your higher self is, and now you're gonna do what it takes to be that higher self.
Right. You have to actually, and that's the part in manifestation. Part of it is visualization. You have to visualize whatever it is that you want. And that's the only thing that you kind of focus on. Like podcasting world. Okay, I see this being like really big because I feel a lot of people need to know about manifestation, shadow work, eliminating limiting beliefs. Excuse me. I feel like that's a confirmation bird. People need to see more of this and they don't. So I feel like, yes, there's an audience out there. And as I did my research, I realized a lot of people don't realize the things that they get stuck in as far as karmic cycles stems from childhood trauma. So just from looking at that, it's like, okay, a lot of people are going to have to dig back and scale back to those younger years. And sometimes you're going to unlock stuff that you've blocked out of your brain for decades. Like I had blocked out the fact that I grew up in poverty. I didn't realize that until this last 6 months of shadow work that I was working on, which started because my dad passed. And it was just like one thing after another. And I was like, oh, that's what this is. Okay, I'm supposed to be doing shadow work. So those are some of the things that I identified, and it helped me understand more better of why I'm the person that I am today.
I got you. That's all right. So closing out, right? What is one thing that the audience can take from you um that you think will change their life, their day, everything? Like one, give me a bar. You've been doing it's a lot of bars right now. You've been giving me bars all episode, but give me one bar.
I think the one thing that everyone that listens to this can do, if you have any negative thought about yourself, cancel that negative thought and replace it with a positive. So let me see, what would I use for example? Let's use fitness for example. If you feel like I'm never going to be able to walk around this block because it's too hot, I'm just never going to be able to do it. Start saying, you know what, one day I'm going to be able to walk around this block, but right now I'm going to just try to see if I can do 20 steps. And you turn the 20 steps into 40, and you keep elevating on that. So you just always use your I am statements, I can statements, and you'll see it happen.
Bars. So where can we find you? Tell us about your podcast. Where can we listen?
Okay, you can listen to the podcast on YouTube. I'll be streaming to different networks, and Anchor is where it originates. The season 1 audio, if you want to listen at it, which right now I feel like it's straight garbage. Season 2 is going to be straight fire. I'm at Tots on all social media platforms. If you have any questions, you can email info@keepmanifesting.com. And I have a website, which is www.keepmanifesting.com, that will be going back up, which will give you your shadow work gear, your manifestation tools, just all the things that you need to cancel out those limiting beliefs that you might be holding on to, not realizing that's part of what's holding you back.
All right, thank you so much. With that, guys, remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and follow if you are on our audio platforms. And again, if you are interested in being any part of the Medium Ghetto Live on Mondays, let me know. We have a lot of great subjects. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, and have a great day.